Hi kids, hope you are fine. So this is the fourth part of our video, class 10, science chapter 1. Before watching this video, make sure you have watched up to part 3. So here in this video, look at page number 10. You can see a furthermore activity for explaining exothermic and endothermic chemical reactions. And the last video we have seen the chemical reactions in which energy is taken in are called endothermic reactions, and chemical reactions in which energy is given out are called exothermic reactions. Endo means inside, exo means outside. Okay, and we have seen there are different kind of decomposition reaction. In fact, okay, it is thermal decomposition, photo decomposition, then electrolysis. In thermal decomposition, the energy is heat. Energy is given in the form of heat. In photo decomposition, energy is given in the form of light. And in electrolysis, energy is given in the form of electricity. Now look at this activity. Okay, yeah, you can see on page number 10, you can see the activity. Carry out the following activity. Take about 2 grams of barium hydroxide. Okay, so you might be pretty careful while writing the formula of these things. Okay, I have told you to write the formula. You need to know what is the valency. Okay, so barium resides in the same group as that of calcium. So what would be, okay, the valency of barium would be, yeah, we all know it is 2. So the valency of barium is 2, and hydroxide, you have studied in your 9th class, the valency of hydroxide is 1. And what would be the formula of barium hydroxide? Yeah, definitely it would be BaOH twice. And this barium hydroxide is reacting with ammonium chloride, right? Ammonium means NH4, yeah, valency is 1. Ammonium chloride, chlorine valency is 1. So automatically, what it would be? NH4Cl it would be. Okay. And when they are mixed together, okay, after mixing with the help of a glass rod, touch the bottom of the test tube by your palm. What do you feel? Is this an exothermic or endothermic reaction? After mixing these two substances, means barium hydroxide and ammonium chloride, and if you touch the bottom of the test tube, it would be really cool, it would be really chilled in fact, because it's an endothermic reaction. For this mixing process, they would be taking some heat from the surroundings, in fact from test tube, from the surrounding solutions, whatever it is. Okay, because of that we would feel it is really colder. Okay, now look at the questions. A solution of a substance X is used for whitewashing. Yeah, given a statement like that. Look at the first question. Name the substance X and write the formula. A solution of a substance X. Okay, a solution of a substance. We all know the substance which is used for whitewashing is CaOH twice, or Slackert line. We have discussed in the previous class. But and majority of you thinking X would be CaOH twice or Slackert line. But read the question carefully. What they have given. It is not X. A solution of X is used for whitewashing. Means we know, yeah, we all know CaOH twice is used for whitewashing, right? And it is a solution of X. It is not X. It is solution of X. So X would be calcium oxide or quicklime, and the corresponding reaction it would be CaO plus 2H2O gives CaOH twice. So this one is X. The solution of X is used for whitewashing, and that solution is Slackert lime. X is quicklime. Now look at the next question. Why is the amount of gas collected in one of the test tubes in activity 1.7 double of the amount collected in the other? Name this gas. Okay, yeah, which was that activity? We all, we can still remember the activity was like this. We had 2 inverted test tubes, 2 graphite rods were there, covered, their mug was there, electricity supply was connected like this. And during this activity we can see the evolution of gas, not the evolution of gas. Gas is getting collected over the test tube, and the amount of gas collected in one test tube was twice compared to the other gas collected in the other test tube. Okay, it is because water has the chemical formula H2O. Okay, and you can see it is 2 part hydrogen and 1 part oxygen. So they are in the ratio 2:1. So while electrolyze or during electrolyze, 2 volumes of hydrogen would be appearing and only 1 volume of oxygen would be appearing. That's why the amount of gas in one test tube is double compared to the amount of gas in the other, and that gas is hydrogen. Okay, now look at the next one. It's the next type of chemical reaction. It is third type of chemical reaction. It is displacement reaction. Displacement reaction. What is the meaning of displacement? Okay, displacement means just yeah. I will tell you an example, a common life example. I will tell you. Suppose you and your girlfriend are sitting on a chair, okay, or a bench or something. Yeah, you are here, a pretty handsome boy, you are here, and here is your girlfriend. Okay, you are here and your girlfriend was here. Okay, you are sitting on a bench, and suddenly your friend is coming. Yeah, your friend, he's not that much handsome, but he's really wealthy. Okay, he has a lot of money with him. So, and what he's doing? He is kicking out you. Okay, he is kicking out you and he is occupying your position. Okay, it is called displacement reaction. Okay, by displacing someone, some others are occupying someone's position. It is called displacement. Okay, it is just an example. Don't write it is about girlfriends, okay, or boyfriend or something in your exams. The thing is that reaction of metals. Okay, metals are there. Not all the metals are having same reactivity. There are metals are having different reactivity. There are very highly reactive metals are there like potassium. Some very highly reactive metals are there like potassium, and very least reactive metals are there like gold or platinum. Okay, potassium, sodium, calcium, aluminum, magnesium, they are really highly reactive. And some others are there, they are least reactive. Okay, and the thing is that whenever there is a compound made by a moderately reactive metal or not that much reactive metal, for example, copper is not that much reactive. Okay, copper is not that much reactive, and copper is having a solution CuSO4. It is called copper sulfate. Okay, just imagine copper is the boy and SO4 is the girl. Okay, boy 1 and girl 1. And who is coming? A bit more reactive ion is coming. Okay, so it is a metal salt. It is a compound of a metal, copper sulfate. Okay, just imagine copper is boy 1 and sulfate is girl 1 and iron is boy 2. And iron is more reactive compared to copper. What will happen? This sulfate will go with iron. Means instead of copper, who would be coming in? Iron would be coming in. So literally we can say iron has kicked out copper, and what would be the result? It would be FeSO4, and who has gone out? Yeah, copper has gone out. They got married and copper has gone out. Okay, it is called displacement reaction. To explain it furthermore, we can see the activity there. Take 3 iron nails and clean them by rubbing with sandpaper. Why? What is the need of rubbing with sandpaper? Since iron is a bit reactive, there might be chances of they are reacted with atmospheric oxygen, and there might be a brownish coating on their surface. To remove that, we need to rub it with sandpaper. Take 2 test tubes marked as A and B. In each test tube, take about 10 ml of copper sulfate solution. What we need to do? Yeah, we need to take 10 ml of copper sulfate solution in each test tube. The two iron nails with a thread and immerse them carefully in the copper sulfate solution. Yeah, we can see iron nails are dipped in copper sulfate. This blue one is copper sulfate solution. You know, copper sulfate is otherwise called blue vitriol. Okay, and iron nails are hanging in it. After 20 minutes, take out the iron nails from copper sulfate solution. And now compare the intensity of blue color of copper sulfate solution in test tubes A and B. Also compare the color of iron nails dipped in copper sulfate solution with one kept aside. Okay, you can see, yeah. So this is a normal iron nail. You can see this is the normal iron nail, and this is the one kept in copper sulfate solution. Okay, and you can see two test tubes of copper sulfate. Okay, and this is the one in which no iron nails were kept, and this is the one in which the iron nail kept. Okay, and you can see the intensity, the change in intensity of blue color there. What happened there? Okay, so suppose this is the test tube, this is the test tube containing, okay, just imagine, this is the test tube containing copper sulfate, this test tube is containing copper sulfate. Okay, and what we have done, we have introduced an iron nail, and I have already told you the reaction. When iron nail is mixed with copper sulfate, what will happen? Iron will take away the sulfate, and this will convert to iron sulfate, and who will come out? Copper would come out, copper would be coming out. Okay, and the copper which is coming out of the solution, will stick on to the surface of iron nail. The copper which is coming out of solution will stick on the surface of iron nail, and it will give a brown appearance to the iron nail. Okay, and look here in the test tube, you can see a high intensity of blue color, and in here the intensity of blue color is less, because whenever there is more amount of CuSO4, there would be more blue color. And since the CuSO4 is converted to FeSO4, the intensity of blue color is getting reduced. Okay, and what happened there? While we introducing iron nail in copper sulfate, iron is kicking out copper from copper sulfate and taking away SO4. Okay, since the amount of CuSO4 is decreasing by the time, automatically the color of the solution is disappearing, and after some time we can see a brownish coating on this iron nail, because the released copper is sticking onto the surface of iron nail and giving it a shiny copper colored appearance. Yeah. Why does the iron nail become brownish in color and the blue color of copper sulfate solution fade? It is because the displaced copper got stick on the surface of iron nail. It is why. What is happening? Iron nail is getting a brownish coating, in fact. And why the blue color of the copper sulfate is fade away? Because only when there is copper sulfate, it will get blue color. Because of the introduction of iron is kicking out copper from copper sulfate. So the amount of copper sulfate is changing and the amount of iron sulfate is increasing. That's why there is a fade in color. And we can see the exact equation there. Iron plus copper sulfate gives iron sulfate and copper. Okay, who has gone out? Yes, copper. The less reactive copper has gone out. It is called displacement reaction. You can see some other examples of displacement reaction. Look at this reaction. Zinc reacting with copper sulfate. Zinc and copper sulfate are reacting. What will happen? Okay, always remember zinc is more reactive compared to copper. Zinc is more reactive compared to copper. So yeah, we can imagine what will happen. Zinc will kick out copper and it will occupy the position of copper. So it would be zinc sulfate and copper has gone out. Okay, initially SO4 was the girlfriend of copper. Now SO4 becomes the girlfriend of zinc. And who becomes single? Yeah, copper becomes single. Now next one, you can see lead is reacting with copper sulfate. Sorry, cupric chloride in fact. Lead is reacting with cupric chloride or copper chloride. Okay, since lead is more reactive, compared to copper, automatically by displacing copper, lead would be getting into this position, getting on that position. Can see chlorine is going with lead. And who is become single again? Yeah, copper became single again. Okay. So whenever there is a reaction between a highly reactive metal and a low reactive metal salt, the highly reactive metal can displace a low reactive or moderately reactive metal from its salt. It is called displacement reaction. A highly reactive metal can displace the other metal from its salt. It is called displacement reaction. I hope you got it. Okay, if you're having any doubt, just mention in the comment box. Okay. Now, the second one, double displacement reaction. Yeah, it's quite a bit simple compared to if you understand the concept of displacement. Double displacement would be really simple. Okay, imagine the same situation in which there are two benches. Okay, there are two benches are there. Okay, here is a very handsome boy, B1 is here. Okay, and a very beautiful girl, G1 is here. On the other bench, yeah, what is happening there? To another handsome boy, B2 is there, and a beautiful girl is there, that is G2. Okay, and what is happening is really interesting. Okay, don't be negative. Okay, only in the sense of examples, only in the sense of humor. And what is happening? Girl 1 will go with boy 2 and girl 2 will come to boy 1. Okay, exchanging of girlfriends. Okay, simply I have told you. Okay, simply nothing. Okay, so when two metals are reacting, when two metal solutions are reacting, or two metal compounds are reacting, for example, AB is a metal compound, is reacting with CD. What will happen? B will go to C and D will go to A. This is called double displacement reaction. Okay, and all these things are called ions. Okay, metals are positive ions and these are negative ions. Okay, this is again positive, this is negative. Okay, this negative will come here and this negative will go there. Okay, so what is happening? Double displacement reaction, exchange of ions are happening. Happening between metal compounds. It is called double displacement reaction. Okay, and in order to make that concept more clear, you can see there is an activity. Take about 3 ml of sodium sulfate solution in a test tube. Yeah, sodium sulfate. What is the formula? Sodium valency 1, sulfate valency 2. So automatically when we cross it, we will get Na2SO4 is the formula of sodium sulfate. And we need to mix it with barium chloride. Yeah, sodium sulfate is mixed up with barium chloride. Yeah, you can see here sodium sulfate, barium chloride. And you can guess what might be the product. Yeah, sulfate will go to barium and chlorine will go to sodium. Look at the product. Yeah, sodium sulfate initially was there and barium chloride was there. Now it is converted to barium sulfate and sodium chloride. You can clearly see there is an exchange of ions. It is called double displacement reaction. Double displacement reaction. Okay, and while doing this thing, you can see an insoluble substance. An insoluble substance is appearing on the test tube, in the test tube. Okay, and insoluble metal compounds are called precipitate. Okay, never ever forget these things. Okay, insoluble metal compounds are called what? Yeah, precipitate. Okay, precipitate. You can see sodium chloride. You definitely know this is common salt, right? So sodium chloride is a compound of sodium, which is a metal, which is soluble in water. But barium sulfate is another compound of another metal, which is insoluble in water. So such kind of insoluble metal salts are called precipitate. And a chemical reaction in which a precipitate is formed is called a precipitation reaction. Okay, any chemical reaction which result in the formation of a precipitate is called precipitation reaction. You can see here precipitation reaction. Okay, precipitation reaction. So what caused this? The white precipitate of barium sulfate is formed by the reaction of sulfate anion and barium cation. The other product formed sodium chloride, which remains in solution, which is soluble in fact. Such reactions in which there is an exchange of ions, I have told you already, the reaction in which there is an exchange of ions between the reactants or metals are called double displacement reactions. Okay. So then you can recall the activity 1.2. Where you have mixed the solution of lead nitrate and potassium iodide. Lead nitrate and potassium iodide. What was the color of the precipitate? It is yellow, I think. Can you name the compound precipitate? Okay, so when there is lead, okay, I am not giving you exact formula. Okay, lead nitrate was there plus potassium iodide was there. So automatically what would happening? Yeah, iodide would be will be going to lead and nitrate would be going to K. So we will be getting lead iodide and potassium nitrate. Potassium nitrate is soluble, okay, and lead iodide is the precipitate. Lead iodide is the precipitate, and they have asked you to write the balanced chemical reaction. It is already given there in the previous page, I think. Is this also a double displacement reaction? Exactly. It is also a double displacement reaction because you can see there is an exchange of ions between lead and potassium. Okay. Actually, it is not the symbol of lead. Yeah, Pb is the symbol of lead. When lead nitrate is reacting with potassium iodide, we would be getting lead iodide and potassium nitrate. Okay. I think yellow precipitate is there. Okay, lead nitrate is white. Yeah, lead iodide is, I think it is yellow in color. Don't worry about the color. Okay, we can discuss later. So this is all about displacement and double displacement reaction. Okay, and what is displacement? Highly reactive metal can displace a moderately reactive or other metal from its solution or salt. It is called displacement reaction. For that, you need to study the reactivity series of metals. Potassium is the most reactive one. Then comes sodium. Yeah, then comes calcium, then magnesium, then aluminium, then comes zinc, then comes copper, then comes lead, then comes copper. Then finally you can see least reactive metals such as silver, gold and platinum. Okay, hope you guys understood this topic, and we can I will see you in the next video. Up to then, bye dear, take care.